In the left corner, from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, weighing a staggering 5 pounds, it's Nick Balme.
Help.
In the right corner, now based in Austin, Texas, it's Nolan. Welcome to WAM, guys.
That was a good bit.
I workshopped that a lot.
I really thought that over for a while. I had it written down and everything. I had it all planned out.
Well, yeah, I'm back at school now, so we're going to be doing podcasts pretty much only online from now on. But, we can still watch movies with each other through astral projection and other means. So it should be a seamless transition.
Yeah, we really shouldn't have any other problem. Just besides, we just won't be able to shake hands and do dances in between takes. But it's something we have to get through.
That was like some of the best stuff from the first few episodes. Each time we would mess up a start of a take, we'd just do a little jig and we'd put on like Aerosmith and we'd do Irish step dance to it, and it would really be off-putting. And then we'd go back to it really sweaty and like uncomfortable. And then that would just be the best take.
Yeah, honestly, we really got in a good rhythm with that. And honestly, I think our Irish step dancing is also just taking another level. It's just really smooth at this point.
I'm coming back for one of the competitions that's nearby. And what's our likelihood of like championship?
Honestly, I think we have a pretty good shot this year. I heard there's some new people from Germany that are going to be coming in this year, and they just have a really good team out there. But I think we have a really good shot.
The Germans every year.
Every year.
Okay.
Anyway, Blue Beetle. Right?
Yeah, we watched Blue Beetle. We watched Blue Beetle on Friday, and we're recording this on a Sunday.
So Blue Beetle, about a 2 hour and something movie. I think it's like 2 hours and 7 minutes or something weird.
It didn't feel horribly long, not compared to other movies that have been coming out recently, I guess.
It didn't feel quick, but I think it paced itself fine.
Yeah. I do think it's weird how long movies are getting nowadays, though, because like 2 hours now the standard instead of hour 30 that it used to be.
Yeah, I don't like it. It's icky. I like a good hour 30 movie. It feels like a nice quick in and out kind of thing. 2 hours just feels like a little bit too long to like just kind of quick. Oh, watch this,
Yeah, especially if we're going to keep doing a sort of like super production of superhero movies like this. I think it will be smarter to have it be a smaller runtime, because like, do we really want to be going through all of this stuff for that much time? Because at the end of the day, these aren't necessarily seen as like high classes of art. It's just a quick little, let's have a fun time thing. You don't want it to drag on. That's the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah, I think that's really fair. Keeping the art of like giving the audience enough, but keeping enough hidden so that they want to see more. We've just seen so much oversaturation, and I think longer movies doesn't necessarily help it. But it hurts a little bit sometimes if pacing's bad. But in this movie, I think it did really well. I think it was primarily a comedy, I'll say.
Yeah, I think it was very obviously. Well, would it be action comedy or comedy action, or does it really matter?
I'd really say comedy action.
Yeah,
because I'd say you can count the major action scenes like on one hand, I think.
Well, let me do it. Are we counting the like test flight as an action scene?
No.
Okay,
he's flailing.
Yeah, and there's the thing where he cut through a bus. He fought a bus.
I guess, but that wasn't even him. The suit was just doing it. He was just standing there.
The scarab.
The scarab.
Okay, so there's him fighting the robot dude, and then there's him fighting the robot dude
with this army version of the scarab that the bad girl lady developed, and the villain sucks in this movie.
And then I think there might have only been one other, and it might have been
final fight.
There's the final. There's him raiding the base, and then there's also when he got swatted. So I think, yeah, I
I
think
guess
that's around
so,
5,
yeah. Maybe, yeah, sure.
maybe.
But God, this movie, the action scenes that there were really cool, and they felt really great and
Yeah.
fun and had a lot of energy, and just wanted more, and then I kept having to see Grandma.
Do you wanna run through a synopsis real quick? I love how you're just out of nowhere just saying, "I hate seeing grandma."
'Cause it's oh my I hated seeing her so much. There were some good bits, and it was funny, but then there are some bits that were just dragged out too long where I was just
Yeah.
like, "Alright." Like, at the end, there's a joke about the grandmother having fought in, like, the revolution way back when, um, and because she knows how to use a Gatling gun, and they really
Milked
loved
it.
this joke.
Mhm.
They thought it was the funniest shit in the world. It was almost as good as Pickle Rick. Like,
Same
they were just
studio.
same studio. They were
Warner
just losing
Brothers.
their shit. It's true. Because they mention it, like, in 4 different scenes,
Yeah.
and it's just really, really focused on, and the family members throughout the movie all have their own character traits, but they never change from those character traits, besides one of them being dead, um,
You can't.
and like, it's just there's no change throughout for them throughout the movie, and they'll get weapons, they use the weapon once, and then, "Okay, that's it for the character, let's move on to the next family member." So there's
Yeah.
no depth to them, they're very shallow, just kind of, "Oh, these are Blue Beetle's family," and
Yeah.
that's it, and it was kinda poo.
Yeah. So this movie overall was a family movie, but I'm very glad it took it a different direction than Shazam does. Shazam sort of starts it off as a family movie where you have our protagonist hate his family, and then it like goes into, oh, I love you guys. Um, what this did differently is we already established a connection to the family, and more than anything, it's not about a secret identity. It's about just like, what would one family do if one of them became a superhero? Like, how would all of them react?
Yeah, I think the whole reaction scene when he takes the so the CEO lady who steals the scarab from the villain lady
Yeah.
gives it to our main character, Jamie.
Jaime. No.
Um,
Say it right. Jaime
gives it to
Reyes.
gives it to Jaime. Um, and then he gets the scarab home, and the whole family is just around the table staring at it, and they're like, "God, what is it?" And then it crawls in him, and it freaks them all out. I think that whole scene is fantastic
I really
because
liked
it's
it.
a genuine, just like how people would react and think if they saw this happening and a metal scarab like implanting himself into your son through his anus, as George Lopez says multiple
Yeah.
times.
George Lopez
Um,
keeps just reiterating, it went up his ass.
it did, bro. It did. He's right. And I think those moments with the family are really good and really strong. It's
Yeah.
just when the family was so intertwined in those action moments, it took away from them so much because the family can't do a ton, so the
Hmm.
action can't get too over the top.
That's fair. And I think that's probably going to be, I guess, a holdback if we ever see a team up in the future, because Blue Beetle is a part of a few groups. He's sometimes part of the Teen Titans. Sometimes he's part of the Outsiders, which is a very niche group that I'm a pretty big fan of just because of Young Justice.
God, you're a nerd, idiot. I bet you have a movie podcast,
Stop it.
bitch.
um but like, just imagine this character is so tied to his family that it would sort of hurt if you want to see him in these sort of team ups, because that brings baggage of like all of these characters that I will admit that I enjoyed a decent amount in parts, but I also think that I'm really coming for Blue Beetle and Blue Beetle himself. To see everybody else just continue to go with the story is unneeded.
Yeah, I do understand that Blue Beetle's all about family, and that's what this movie was about. But they were just there too much, and I
Hmm.
think this movie really suffered because of that. And like we said, the action scenes were great when we did see them, but
Hmm.
because it was so much of him just getting the armor and kind of figuring it out more, it was. I mean, really, I guess we're just falling into the trap of origin story movies where we just wanted to see more of the superhero when we just saw more of the guy fumbling around.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. We really have seen so many origin stories. It's getting to a point where we don't want to see any more stumbles. We want to see the cool stuff now. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's a movie that did really good with that?
Mm.
Doctor Strange. The first Doctor Strange, it was him figuring out magic exists, and then it just cuts to him studying for like 9 months, and then
Mm-hmm.
boom, he's great. He's incredible at it.
Yeah, halfway through the movie, he's already realized, and he's like, he's not the grand
Don't
guy.
say the Grand Wizard. Please don't
I
say the Grand Wizard.
I thought
He's not the
about it.
Sorcerer Supreme.
That's what it is.
It's not a
Um,
Grand Wizard.
but
It's a
yeah,
cape,
so
not a cloak.
the big guy, uh, big man on campus, he's like halfway through the movie, and so we have the whole rest of half the movie to see him grow and use his power, and
Hmm.
have the end of his character arc without having to see the boring, slow part that people would actually have for like a character arc in real
Yeah.
life.
Oh yeah. By the way, guys, do you want a brief like plot summary of the movie?
It'll be quick.
It'll be quick. Um, do you want to do this or do you? Because you did some good amount of studying over this, but I also just remember the movie.
I mean, I can do a little. I can do a little scan over here.
Okay, I love it when you do your scan overs because there's going to be like a sound effect where it's just like, and he went burp, and then he went.
Yeah, it's a little bit. So, so our boy, he is. God, how does the movie start?
It starts with him coming back from Gotham University. He just got his degree in pre-law.
You
He's the
know, why
first
don't
in
you
his
do
family.
this?
Okay, yeah.
I believe in you.
He's the first in his
Keep going.
family.
Give it a try. I've done it enough times. I think it's your turn to give it a shot.
You know
You've
what?
tried
I
a
can
lot.
outdo you
You're
so
ready.
easily. You know what, Nick? I don't need this sass from you. I have 15 different podcasts trying to get me on there, and for some reason, they're all about karate.
It's all Bruce Lee only. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can give us
Yeah.
a little plot synopsis of it then.
Okay. Jaime just gets back from college. He's the first one of his family to graduate. And when he comes back, he sees that they're in economic turmoil. The city they're in, which is, can you remind me the name?
Yes, it's Palmera.
Okay, Palmera.
Palmera.
Okay. He
Palmera
comes
City.
he comes back to Palmera City where his family is, and he finds out their house is getting taken over, or they're getting evicted from their house. They're losing their shop, and they're also having issues with their dad's health. And this sort of sets him in a thing of like, okay, I really need to start making some money for my family. He starts getting a job as a cleaner at the Cord building, and he accidentally friends one of the Cords who offers him a job in the industry. What he
Mm.
doesn't know is that she completely forgets and instead steals the blue scarab from Cord Industries and just gives it to him and says run and never open it.
She gives it to him in a burger box.
In
She's
a
like, "Here, don't open it. Get the fuck out of here. Guard this with your life."
You want to know something funny about that burger box?
It was a bomb.
You can't, we need to talk about you and your bombs.
What about the burger box? The
Um,
big mouth, big belly burger? Is that what it was?
it was Big Belly Burger, something similar. That's a big, I think, fake franchise in DCU, and like there were people legitimately on Twitter that read that and they were like, "Oh my god, this is incredible!" Like as if we get him take the burger back to his family, the burger box, and they're all like, "You idiot, open it! I want to see what's inside." When they see what's inside, they see the blue scarab, which gets on him, crawls up his ass, and
Mhm.
infuses himself with him.
Hmm.
And then you see a whole scene where the suit is test driving Jaime, basically,
Yeah,
the
it's just
scarab
like
inside of
testing
him.
thrusters, testing gun,
Yeah, testing gun, testing shield, and whatever. He
testing
causes
robo penis.
mayhem. There's one too many penis jokes in this movie.
There's a lot of dick jokes.
I remember two.
I
There's
remember George Lopez.
it's small.
That's all. I just remember George Lopez. He was the
George
best part of
Lopez
this
was
movie.
great in this movie.
Dude, if he wasn't in this movie, it would take it down a tier.
He played the crazy uncle, and he did a great job at it.
He
I
drove
loved him,
this Tacoma
and
named
he named it
Taco
Taco.
with Cheech and Chong bobbleheads in it and made weed jokes.
Who
And
is Cheech and Chong?
Cheech and Chong are two men who are like characters in a series of movies from the 70s, I think.
Mm.
We're just all about smoking a lot of weed.
Huh. Okay,
And
that makes
that's who they
sense.
were. They were silly weed fellows, and they would get into hijinks. They're still alive, and they still smoke a lot of weed.
That's their secret to long life.
Yeah, that's how they're still alive, dude. They're so wrinkly. It's like impressive, but they're still so silly. Anyway, um, yeah, and then so what was it next? So they test drive,
They test
and then
drive.
they're
He
like,
lands
"Holy
back in
shit!
his
Look, the
house.
scarab, isn't that
Mm-hmm.
it?"
Yeah, they're all freaking out about it, and what they immediately say is, okay, we're not going to call the cops because a lot of us are illegal immigrants. But
Yeah, that's brought up a lot.
yeah, it tried to market itself as a very Hispanic movie, and it excels at parts. I've heard that Hispanics have really enjoyed this movie. I don't know because I don't get near them.
I stay away if I can. I don't. It was really like hammered on, but then it was never.
Realized?
They didn't. It never mattered in any way.
Yeah, that's
It was
fair.
just, oh no, thank
Mm-hmm.
God nothing happened. that was it.
It's not like a shotgun that's setting up for anything else. It's literally just, okay, here's our excuse. That's why you can't do that. Let's
Yeah.
cover our bases of any criticism.
Mm-hmm.
After that, they're like, okay, you should probably just go back there and tell the girl what happened. So he goes back, and the girl is escaping from just like security guards. And the second that he sees her, they both get shot at, and he has to this is
Go
right.
Beetle.
Yeah, he has to go Beetle, and he finds this guy, which is our secondary villain to Victoria Cord, which is the big villain. He is very similar to Blue Beetle, but they're trying to replicate it using
He's not the
human
big villain.
technology.
He's the villain's
He's
little puppy dog.
Yeah, I said he's the secondary villain.
Oh, I thought you said second. Never mind. Anyway, but yeah, he has this like robot armor version of the scarab that what is it? Vanessa, is that the bad lady, or is that
Victoria.
Victoria? That Victoria developed and has a whole secret army of that she's planning to develop and sell, and she wants the power of the scarab to then infuse into that technology she has to make it
Uber
just like
good.
better, I guess.
It should, just really good.
Pump it up, yeah. But it already kind of works. So like, why is she really doing that? That guy is very clearly doing it.
I mean, she could have definitely have already sent out one version and then sent out a better version. I think that would have made a lot more sense. But at the same time, what would you rather have? An army of like robot people or an army of robot gods?
Well, when you say robot god, all I think of is like,
how do you know a robot god?
Well, if you let me finish, I was gonna say Robot Devil from Futurama. Anyway,
the best song in the whole series.
There's too many. Yeah. So Blue Beetle, what do you think? But so aside for family, what do you think your favorite scene was out of the movie? Like Beetle scene, not family scene. It's hard to think of a Beetle scene without the family, isn't it?
I enjoyed when he was at the compound and he's sort of realizing his powers. He's talking with the scarab. He's getting more and more close with the scarab, and he's just realizing that his power basically grants him the ability to form anything. So he starts getting like very creative with it. that I think is one of my favorite parts in the fight scene. It's when he's having his not necessarily the final fight, or this might be the final fight with the secondary villain, and he's just sort of very I guess excited, and he's very optimistic about his chance. So he's just beating the shit out of this guy, and it looked really cool.
Yeah, I mean, just the fight scenes when they do them really well. It's just that I don't know. I mean, everything about the old Beetle that they kind of talked about and alluded to. I don't know if it was just at
Ted
first it just
Cord.
felt like they were referencing other like an old media or like an old IP or something, just kind of
Yeah.
poking at it. But then it was just at the very end, it was a cliffhanger, or not a cliffhanger, an end credit scene
Yeah.
where it's the girl's father, Vanessa's father,
I don't know her name, but I know her
whatever,
dad's name is
girl.
Ted Cord.
Yeah, that OG Beetle might be alive somewhere where he never had the power of the scarab like
Mm-hmm.
himself, but he used the scarab to power all his jams.
Yeah. Ted Cord is a very interesting character in the comics. This was lame just because you obviously never got to saw him, and it's just like, yeah, here's a dude in tights.
Yeah, that was it. And then there was a suit that was gone
There was a suit that was
that
gone.
they showed us like 5 fucking times. Look at it's missing. Look at this mannequin.
He
Oh,
died
that's
in
so weird.
action.
God, there's 3 mannequins and 2 of them have suits.
People believe that initial casting had Jason Sudeikis playing that character,
Who is
but
it again?
he's the guy from Ted Lasso and We're the Millers.
No.
I thought you didn't have a problem with him.
But it's We're the Millers is seeping into it.
If I didn't say We're the Millers, you'd be like, "Oh, that guy's okay."
Yeah. You shouldn't have reminded me. Anyway,
every
yeah.
every podcast, I have to put in some reference to We're the
Something to We're
Millers.
the Millers. It's full circle here.
Um, but they just didn't have any like just room for him in the movie. That might have been his voice, but nobody knows.
Yeah, I don't like if they got rid of more family stuff and brought him in some regard, or at least I saw him like pop back in or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we see the moment where he like comes back and everyone's like, "Oh my god," and he just gives us a little one liner or something, that'd be neat. And I'd be like, "Ooh, what's gonna happen next?"
Ooh,
But
yeah.
now I'm like, okay, well he's gonna come back the next movie. Cool, I guess.
Yeah. Uh,
If
one
there's a next movie.
if there is a next movie. This movie right now is in bad territory.
Yeah.
It's projected to only make about $50 million domestically.
Ooh, that's not good.
It's horrible. It's really bad.
And let me look at how much it actually cost here.
Yeah, let's look at the
Um,
budget. I think it was 100
so
million.
so the budget was 104 million. In the box office right now,
Mm-hmm.
you want to see?
Worldwide?
So as of August 20th today,
That's today.
43.4 million. It's not even 50.
Oh God. I
That's
mean,
bad.
this is opening weekend. 40
So
million
2
opening
days,
weekend is bad.
3 days after, or no, because it came out in El Paso on the 15th, so 5 days after.
It had an early release in El Paso?
Yeah, on the 15th it came out,
That's cool that they
and
had an
then
early
3 days
release in El
later it
Paso.
came out in on the 18th across the US.
Nice.
But dude, for only half budget for opening weekend is pretty bad because
Yeah.
it hasn't been getting. It's been getting good audience reviews, but it's been getting overall, I think, pretty bad reviews in terms of like it's uninspired, it's generic kind of
Mm-hmm.
feel.
I think I feel as if you can sort of tell that this was made for HBO Max, and that's
Mhm.
not horrible. I think if this was just an HBO Max movie, people would find it more enjoyable.
I
It
think it'd
would,
be okay. Yeah.
yeah, it also wouldn't have this budget. When they learned that they were going to be putting this into theaters, they put a lot of money into post production, into VFX and all that, which means that when it comes to location and when it comes to writing, it had a direct to DVD budget, and then they gave it a lot of effects. And I'm gonna say I can see it.
I the effects were not great a lot of the time, and I just felt like there was this constant, almost like that kind of digital haze,
Hmm.
like that Spy Kids 3 sort of cheese over everything
Well,
that I
I
felt,
think,
and it was just I don't
yeah.
it wasn't bad. It just felt very generated, if
One
that makes
thing I feel is if there's nothing real in the field of view, if they're not putting someone into a setting, it looks pretty good. Just starting from scratch, their CGI looked great. But if you have like someone's face that you're implanting on something and you have them in a fake location, then it looks
sense.
dumb.
Yeah, it looks like TV show. Like it's
That's
just not great.
that's one of the biggest problems right now. People don't know great lighting technique. They don't know good angling
They
when
know
it
it. They're
comes
just
to this.
at the end of the day, which is why they're on strike. They're not paid enough to do that shit, man.
That is fair. That is true.
They got too much stuff to do in too little time, or they suck ass. They
It
need to
could
hire
be
us. We could have done it better.
the Nolan and Nick production team have done thousands and thousands of different virtual effects or visual effects, and if you hire us, we will give you the greatest product you've ever seen.
If you
And
hire us, we'll give you a product.
we'll give you
Some
we'll give you something that looks like Superman 4: The Quest for Peace.
if you squint a little bit
If you,
from far away.
you would love the effects in that movie.
Um, Yeah, so the director for this movie was who's the director? Who
Soto? Mr.
uh
Soto?
this Mr. Soto. Uh, uh, I
I know
can't
his last
find
name
it.
is Soto.
I can't find it. Angel Manuel Soto.
What I
Yeah,
say. What I say.
you got it, fella. Yeah, so and we were talking about this earlier, when he originally had approached Warner Brothers, he's like, "Hey guys, I want to do a film about Bane's origin story." And they're like, "Dude, cool idea. We love it. You're doing Blue Beetle." And he's like, "What?" And then it started to come out. So
Okay. I mean, they definitely saw that they had bagged a I guess Latino American director, and they thought, okay, this is good. We can have someone that can make a story like that. You're gonna do Blue Beetle.
yep. Which I would have loved to see a Bane origin story movie, which I mean, seeing as he kind of faltered on this, the Bane movie might have also been intended to be an HBO Max film if it ever
Hmm.
did like see the writing room.
Yeah.
But even then, I think that just would have been pretty interesting because we've never gotten a solo Bane movie as far as I know.
No.
And I think exploring him more as a character would be really interesting because we've seen him really smart and we've seen him real stupid and strong, and we've never really seen like the kind of happy medium. And
Yeah.
I think if they could do something like that, like if they could do a Joker for Bane almost, I think that'd be great.
I think it'd be really interesting to see. I need to read a lot more into Bane, but everything I've seen about him in comics, from what I've read, looks awesome. And Tom Hardy did a decent version of him, but like even at the end of the day, he wasn't the main villain of The Dark Knight Rises, which sort of blows.
I'm I don't remember those movies very well, so
Hmm. Do you
who's the main villain of The Dark Knight Rises?
Talia al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul's daughter?
I don't. Oh no, I don't know who that is.
Ra's al
Um,
Ghul?
yeah.
Ra's
Um,
al Ghul is Liam Neeson in Batman Begins.
no, Liam. Anyway. um.
Oh, well, a lot of the move set from this movie is very inspired by Injustice 2. You see a lot of that when you see his blades, when you see his sonic cannon, which takes up two arms. You
mm,
see it a lot with the staples that he ends up shooting villains onto walls with. I know that's obviously very inspired by comics, but when you look at the design of it, it almost completely reads Injustice 2. And that is one of the best, I think, popular media versions of Blue Beetle. I'd say probably better than this one, even though it's literally just a fighting game.
Yeah. So, inspiration for the film, this is directly from the wiki.
Hmm.
Inspiration from the film came from the video game Injustice 2, which released in 2017, and the comic book storyline Infinite Crisis from 2005 to 2006, in which Jaime Reyes debuted along with the comics The New 52 for design of the suit, while the comic
Ooh.
miniseries Blue Beetle Graduation Day, which was 22 to 23, incorporated elements from the film.
Mm. I mean, I wish they would have adapted the reach instead of the cord issue that we have now, because the cords I think are a pretty interesting thing in the comics, but when you adapt it to live action, it just reads as another Iron Man struggle, where it's just a big business that deals weapons, and that's bad.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this movie so many times. Um, and it's just a lot of people have just had the same exact complaint. There's just nothing new in this movie. There's no new ground that's broken. There's no like special take on a superhero. It's just all the same kind of slop that we've seen in the last few years. And it's not necessarily bad. It's just old at this point.
Yeah, I think really what sets this movie apart is that it does have good action, and I
Mhm.
think that George Lopez really does deliver in this film. But
George Lopez carries in this film.
gosh,
Are you
he
kidding me?
was he
He
was
is a
incredible.
star.
I
George
love him.
Lopez, I mean, he's just a seasoned comedian. He knows exactly what he's doing. He delivers all
Hmm.
his lines great. I really hope to see him in more stuff.
Yeah.
Because I hope there's like a whatever George Lopez show bit. We were saying this before the movie, like where they just do a slow motion, like it'd be so good. Movie kind of poopy
uh, George Lopez. I mean, there wasn't any reference to
to
the
anything
George
else
Lopez
outside.
show that I noticed.
There wasn't a reference to a lot of things outside of the movie besides
Yeah,
just like Blue Beetle and or
yeah,
DC things.
yeah.
They
This
just kind
movie
of
was
name drop
very
superheroes
self-contained.
every once in a while to remind you, like, hey guys, remember the Flash, Superman? Yeah, they're in this world too.
Hmm. Um, I okay. There's one thing this movie does that I think makes it miles and miles better than any of the recent releases for DC. Can you
Hmm.
guess what it is?
No microwave babies.
That I microwave babies is a big one, but my biggest thing is there's no Wonder Woman cameo. I'm so tired of Wonder
You're
Woman
so right.
cameos.
Oh my god, there wasn't a Wonder Woman cameo. You're
They-
so right. That's so
Every
nice.
almost every movie before this had a Wonder Woman cameo, and
It
with it was
did.
just her standing somewhere tall, and then it going.
Yeah. Um.
It's it's very obvious that they just want a cameo to make sure you realize